In this segment, we're very briefly going to talk about some possible changes you can make to your Schoology course that may make it more efficient or easier for your students to use. I'm going to start by talking about just possible organization. And one of the things you can do is organize your folders. If you remember this slide from task 2, I'm just going to go through a couple of things. One of the things you might notice about the organization here is that we have descriptions with our folders. Folder descriptions are very clear and easy ways to get students to understand the content that resides inside of a folder so they can quickly navigate it. We could also do descriptions by adding I can statements, which is a great way to organize content based on standards and mastery. Another way to organize content is by color coding or adding images. And you can see this being done here with this folder structure. The only downfall to this is that at this time, that's only viewable via the browser. So students on an iPad would not see the colors of their images, but that's something that we know that Schoology is working towards. And in this sample, you can also see that the course instructor has organized their course folders by chapters. And chapters is a great way to organize content as well. And let's just close out of here real quick. So getting back to our course content, I just want to show you a couple of things that you can do to make some changes. And the first has to do with folder organization. As we click Add Materials and Add Folder, and I don't want to make this a how-to tutorial, but I want to show you a couple of things. We could name our folder with whatever sort of naming convention that we want. And naming conventions are really a great way to keep students in the same place. So this might be Chapter 5 Notes. And so my students will know that all of their notes would reside in this folder, and they wouldn't have to navigate a bunch of different folders to find it. But here's where I can do my color coding, and here is where I can put in a description. Okay? And the big thing here is where I could also add some sort of an image, and I can do that by if I had a URL from the web, or I could attach a file that's already on my computer. And I'm just going to attach this one right here just so we can see what it will look like. This gives students a visual way to find the folders that they're looking for. If they know that this is the visual that always goes with their Chapter 5 notes, that's something that when you tell them to go to Chapter 5 notes, they're going to quickly be looking for that. And the other benefit to folders is that I can put some dates on here and make them visible, or I can make them hidden to students. As a teacher, this really helps your efficiency if I want to say it's not available until week 2 because that's when students will get to that content. I'm just going to cancel that for right now. And you can see I kind of did this with all of the folders in this course. They all have the same name, okay? Module 1, getting organized. And I think it's really important to establish some sort of naming conventions. Keeping consistent name will help your students to understand the content that resides in each one of the folders. The next thing that you could possibly do is set up completion rules. And I'm just going to show you a quick example of this. Completion rules, what they do is they have a student complete a set of tasks before moving on to the next one. And to do this in Schoology, I go to Options, I click Student Completion, and I can set up a set of rules that need to happen. So for example, I could say that the students have to go to Welcome and they have to view the item before they can possibly go to the About This course, and again, they'd have to view it. But if I had something like a quiz in here, I could say they have to score a 75% before they get to access to the next piece of course content. And what student completion rules really helps do is ensure some sort of mastery or accountability towards a student completing the task that's assigned. And there will be some other tutorial videos about how to do the student completion rules. A fourth thing, it really has to do with the landing page. When you logged onto this course, you automatically land on the materials page. But we can also change our landing page so students land on updates. And why landing on updates is really important is if I'm a teacher that's going to use a lot of updates or give a lot of information to my students, I might want them to land there. Let me just pull up a course real quick that uses a lot of updates. If I go to this math course here, I'm automatically taken to the landing page of updates, and you will see it says, Dear Math students, today we will. Dear Math students, wow, your Chapter 5 tests. And so students are automatically seeing this instant message delivered by the teacher. One of the nice things you can do with announcements is you can also make them permanent, or I should say permanent for a day. So let's say that we're back in our course here, and I wanted to give you an update on something, and I wanted to remind you that discussion is due today, and I maybe put on what the date was or something, okay? And what I can do is over in this corner, if I click this little bell right here, and then I click post, it is going to make an announcement that is live at the top of the page. No matter where I am in this course, if I go to materials, I'm still going to see that this announcement is here. And I can remove that or I can change it. If I go back to my updates page, that announcement will still be there. For now, I'm going to delete it just because it's not something that we need to have. And let's see. Couple other things just to remind you is making sure that we tell students about upcoming events and assignments. And we can do this very quickly by clicking on the calendar, and I could just add either an event or an assignment. Let's talk very briefly, even because we're going to get into this later, about events and assignments. An event is something that it is not requiring necessarily a submission. So maybe you're going to say chapter 5 test today, or outside reading book due today. Those are things we put in events. Assignments are something where we require some sort of submission or some product to be delivered by the students. So just understand that there really is a difference between an event and assignment. You can do the same thing that you did in some of the other areas of Schoology by putting in a name, by putting in a description. You have rich text editors, so you can add images, you can add links, you can add videos if you want to assignments, which I think is a great way to keep students all in one place. Less clicks, more learning. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is just what we call one-page content. It's really important, as I said about the less clicks, that we start to get students, especially, in a place where they're able to just view all of their content in one place. Let's look at this for example. I'm sorry, not this one. Let me navigate back here real quick. Hopefully it's in getting organized because that would make the most sense. Here we go. So if I wanted students to watch this video, plus I wanted them to read this article, rather than putting a link to the video and a link to the article in two separate places, I can put them all in one page, which is a great organizational tool. Say I had 3 videos that I wanted my students to watch. All 3 of them could live on this page, and all my students would have to do is click here. They wouldn't have to go out to YouTube, where we know they'd easily get distracted. They wouldn't have to go out to another resource. Now here, to click on this, they would have to go out to another resource because it's a link, but at least I can keep them in that one place that will quickly direct them to the link. So I've gone over several possible changes to your Schoology course, and I'll also outline those in writing. Your goal for this week is to take one of those changes or several of those changes and make some updates to your own Schoology course. Maybe you want to change the organization of your folders. Maybe you want to try one folder with some completion rules in it. Maybe you want to start putting more updates or announcements, adding images to your folders, using your calendar more effectively to add updates or assignments, or starting to make some one-page content. Try practicing any one of those things, and that will be your task for this week in Schoology, and we'll go ahead and we'll have a discussion about some of those changes that you made later. As usual, if you have any questions or concerns, just let me know or ask one of the other participants in this class. I look forward to seeing what you come up with.